Hello, hello, hello. This is Ray Jordan from Blue Ribbon Pines. Just thanking you all for watching the coverage for the Minnesota Majestic. It's a great tournament in Minnesota. It started in 1987, and it sure means a lot to the whole state of Minnesota. We love it. We got with us today two of the men from the Rock Cancer Foundation. They've been running a tournament here for 14 years, and they're going to tell you a little bit more about it right now.
I'm Rob Roser from Vice President and Event Director of the Rock Cancer Foundation. We are so excited to be here for our third year at the Majestic, proud sponsored. And I'm going to give you over to Brandon here, tell you a little more about the Rock Cancer Foundation.
Thanks, Rob. Brandon Moline, President and co-founder of Rock Cancer Foundation. Not sure if you guys have had the delicious walleye nuggets the past couple of years. Unfortunately, we couldn't do it this year for the Majestic. Wish we could, but we're here sponsoring in a different way and supporting the Majestic the way we can. Awesome disc golf community here in Minnesota. Bit about RCF, our website, rcfforhope.org. Basically what we do is find a local family afflicted with cancer. It's always so unfortunate when especially children are involved. It affects the entire family. And really, probably everyone has been affected by cancer in some way, shape, or form through someone they know or someone they're related to. So what we do is we have a yearly event. This will be our 14th tournament this year on September 16th. And essentially all monies raised, we give directly to the family. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. And again, you can find us at rcfforhope.org. You can volunteer, sponsor, donate, whatever you would like. Every bit helps. And, you know, we love being here at the Majestic, our tournament as well. Live bands, camping, awesome food. Actually, Famous Dave's sponsoring again this year for food. It's a great time. Please come out, and absolutely, if you're not participating in the Majestic by now, you should be.
Welcome to the 2023 Majestic from East Bethel, Minnesota, and Blue Ribbon Pines. It's day number 2, 27 holes of action in this second round featuring Cale Leiviska, Casey White, Garett Everson, and Michael Clark, your leaders. After the 27-hole first round, Grant Zellner and Stephen Waits on the mic. And Stephen, I am so impressed with the scoring from this foursome through round number 1. Excited to see what they're going to do today, starting with hole number 1.
Yeah, hole 1, straightforward starting hole for these players. Should see a little bit different conditions today, not as much wind as they're going to deal with later on in the day. But speaking of scoring, our first player here, Cale Leiviska, bogey-free through that windy round yesterday. 27 holes, not a single bogey.
23 Majestic lead card, representing Prodigy, Cale Leiviska!
And if you didn't catch any of round number 1, let's just say the wind that you're seeing here at the start of round number 2 is nothing compared to what the players dealt with just 24 hours ago. Dr. Smooth off the tee.
Cale chasing his 4th Majestic win. Tournament
Representing
with a storied history.
Casey White!
Been around since the mid-'80s. Several winners, including Barry Schultz, among many others, just in the MPO division alone.
Casey White, the Massachusetts native, trying to chase down Cale Leiviska. Great start.
That's the way to start a round right there.
Representing Albatross,
Going after the leader, especially
Everson!
when you know Cale, he will not let up. He's got that 2-stroke lead, so not a lot of room to play with here at the beginning. And Garett chasing both of them down. The only 3 players in the field shooting double digits under par.
We had the pleasure of watching Garett on our day number 1 coverage. And I think it's fair to say Garett did leave a few opportunities out there.
And representing himself, rounding out our lead
he closed
card,
out with some birdies, and then he bogeyed hole 20, and then from 21 to 27. He only took 3 more birdies. So in the meantime, the other players ahead of him at least got 4 to 5 on the last few holes.
Michael Clark should be familiar with playing in breezy conditions. He's out of the state of Iowa. And he'll be first to throw his second shot.
Well, what a bit. Good sized window over there, it looked like, and he gave it everything just off that right side.
Garett Everson, an opening birdie. That's what it's going to take to try to run down this man. Cale Leiviska, so comfortable here, and proves it there. No stress. Already, Stephen, things looking good for scoring. We had very few star frames in day number 1, at least on our coverage. Very few situations where more than 1 or 2 players on any given card were able to get birdies with those conditions. Today, I expect to see a few more fireworks. Hole number 2, 362 feet, a par 4. Yep, you read that right. A par 4 at just 362.
Yeah, player second time through this hole, getting to see any changes or unfamiliarizations they might have. We've seen jump putts, rollers, forehands, round 1. Cale, familiar with the course, not afraid just to step into a nice throw down the middle there. Further down the fairway you are, really doesn't matter if you're left or right. You just want to get past those first 3 or 4 trees there down the center.
Casey White, just kind of a placement shot there. Finds a little open space on the right side of the pathway.
2 days in a row, Garett's found one of the early trees, and he's going to have to navigate himself through this hole. Not far off the tee.
And Michael Clark, I think that's the same tree.
Garett's the only player on this card that did not birdie this whole round 1.
Oh, come on, dude.
Both Garett and Michael trying to chop over on a forehand and see if they can just sort of punch out. Michael looks to be a little better positioned. Yep, Garett throwing 3 already. Casey White with his second. And Leiviska.
They'll have a big anheuser to get around that corner, and not a problem there.
To Garett for par. Michael Clark out into the shadow of the basket. Now Casey.
This hole play is the 5th hardest for round 2 here.
That surprises me a little bit, just given that it's a par 4. I understand that birdies were difficult, but the fact that it played difficult enough to end up being the 5th hardest overall, that's a little bit surprising to me.
There wasn't any triple bogeys on the hole and very few double bogeys. So just one mistake out of position can hurt you on that hole.
Hole number 3, 368 feet, a par 3. Maybe a little bit more traditional in some respects, but very, very tight after this open space. Say 100 feet or so off the tee, and then things tighten up.
Yeah, the toughest part about this hole is navigating this first corner. You do have to get something that goes left or right. And then preferably, so you don't go too far right, you want it to fade back out. And that's the trouble that players run into. We've seen it round 1, taking the corner too tight. Casey didn't turn enough on it. It looked like he he tried to force it over and must have been maybe too stable of a disc. He just kind of sailed out early on him. Michael with the tree hit. Can he do it again?
Garett Everson dials one up.
He parked this whole round one, and he's inside circle again, so he's definitely got this hole's number.
For Clark. Difficulties compound for Michael here at the third. Over to Cale trying to get up and down from the shul. Michael, and that's going to leave some work. Casey up and over, now back to Michael. Big putt there for Michael. It is for bogey, but minimizes the damage. Casey White. Which is that? Par. Good job by Garett there, erasing the bogey at hole number 2 with that birdie here at the third. And to the fourth. A 240-foot par 3. This hole, the obvious space is here slightly to the left with the hole finishing back to the right. You can get lucky if you throw right, but I think this is one of those holes, Stephen, where throwing dead straight and accepting a disc that lands, say, 20 or 25 foot to the side of the basket is probably your percentage play, but players are going to try to shape this over there to the right if they can.
Yeah, short and left isn't a terrible spot. And that's a trouble going into early right with all the trees down that center cut. You're going long, you're gonna run into some trouble. There's a bit more trees back there. So it's definitely, you want to be able to throw something that's going to come in early and skip towards the basket in order to get to that right side. We've seen a few players round one who flew it, like Michael about did right there, flying it too far right and long. Good tree hit for him.
To Cale now. Good bid. Casey to pick one up. Nope. Michael. Opportunity goes wanting. So Casey will try to save par. Two birdies in a row for Garett.
Yeah, everybody on the card getting the start that they kind of like. Got a couple birdies here, all but Michael. He's looking to find that first one, maybe settle some nerves being up around the lead card with these guys.
The fifth, a par 4 at 444 feet, and look at this hole, just a straight shot down a hallway.
This is one of the signature holes for the course, and with the 124 players in the MPO field alone, like this would be a hole to have a permanent camera stationed behind the tee just to see all the different shots and breaks that players may or may not get.
Cale Leiviska. This looks pretty good.
Thanks, y'all. Thank you.
Gallery loves it. Big crowd following this group on this final round.
Short to be sure, but a very safe way of knocking off close to 400 of this 444 feet. And so far, Cale is the best positioned of the group. Michael to throw.
Inside, got past that line of trees, and it kept going, so that's a grade break, just slipping through between some trees, and plenty of room on that left side to play down. There's OB probably 15, 20 feet left of those trees, but it's a whole other fairway over there if you can somehow get through. A lot better than being on that right side. You pretty much got to take your medicine over there.
Garett rattling his way up the fairway. Now Michael doing the same.
Yeah, he didn't quite get as far as I thought, so he had room to straddle back out for the forehand turnover, get as far as he can. And here's that alleyway that I was talking about that Casey has on that left side of the main fairway.
Yeah, I don't know that you'd ever play for that alleyway on purpose, but if you're lucky enough to be able to use it, might as well, and Casey does it to just about perfection.
Definitely too much risk to get over there on purpose, as you're saying, but for sure a way to play your drive and maybe your second shot if you don't go for the basket in a way that will go that direction instead of right. As you see, Garett was barely able to get any distance down the fairway for his next shot there because of where he was at inside the trees.
Clark should have a stress-free drop in from there. Now Casey White. Keeping the pressure on. Everson gives one back.
Quarter of the field was able to birdie this hole. 25 of the 124 players, so just under a quarter of the field able to birdie the hole.
And to hole number 6, 535 feet. This par 4, just a little longer, a little more shape required. Right off the tee box, everything sort of bending around to the right for a while, and then you've got some OB to deal with. Got to go up and over it if you want to cut some distance off the basket. Look at all the trees inside the circle.
I love seeing that. I think that's how we make the sport tougher, especially for these players that can get there and two. Want to make your greens designed in a way that players want to approach it from certain areas. They want to land in certain areas. I don't agree with the whole mindset of it being wide open. Makes for interesting golf to watch.
Leiviska all the way to a very desirable landing area. Casey White a little short.
Going inside, and he got around it. That's perfect. That's where you'd want to land on a normal shot, and he had the opportunity to be in a better position with the height he had on it. Just caught a tree at the end of it there. Great shot by Michael.
Everson, sort of a late right-hand drift on that disc. So on the finish. Now we're back with Casey White. How aggressive will he go?
Over the OB, skips up real nice. He'll have a long look at it from there. Really just, get your 4 and be done kind of hole unless you're in position like Michael is.
Garett looks like he was trying to sort of steer that across. I'm not sure where that finished, though.
Looked like he got knocked down at OB, so he'll have to be taking it back on this side of it.
Michael, oh, first tree. Straight down. So Cale, an opportunity here.
Caught a late branch. Looked like he had almost obstructed, or just that tree was just in his way. Threw a great drive and just barely in a way they just couldn't get a good rip on it.
Michael safe on the other side. Back to Garett.
We're looking at Casey here for birdie.
Boom, baby, let's go.
Just able to advance the disc from now. Now Cale, awkward stance. Might as well go for it. So here at the 6th, nobody able to card the birdie.
Casey and Cale Leiviska matching each other shot for shot here through these first 6 holes.
The 7th, 620 feet for this par 4. Feels a little more traditional in terms of the length given for a par 4 here. Got to carry some water. A little bit of space to work with for a change. A little bit of call it a change of pace, I guess, based on what we've been seeing thus far in this opening 9.
Yeah, this hole 7 here, definitely a 2-shot par 4. Really great design here with the lake. The lake is in a spot where there's just no reward for trying to go for it, carrying it off the tee. Get past these trees right here in the middle and set yourself up for that second shot. Easy approachable green if you're not pinched off too far to the left. Definitely a hole where these players can be looking at, throwing something that's 310 feet in distance for them, mid-ranges for some of these players, and you can have that control disc, nothing that's going to move too much.
Michael Clark cutting off a lot of distance there.
All of our players playing the tee shots clean. To the middle of the fairway, and Casey splitting the trees, just a little low.
Cale Leiviska. Better height here. Little left.
This is tracking well as well. I talked it into a tree.
You niced him, bro. And Michael Clark. That should be a look. So with Casey White throwing 3.
Really?
Everson. Hey. Needed that. Got to try to maintain contact with Cale and Casey.
Yeah, and with that miss there, he's going to gain a stroke on them both on this hole. Back-to-back bogeys on 5 and 6, and then gets the bounce-back birdie here on 7.
Leiviska for the par. And we move on with Garett picking up a stroke to the 8th. A long par 3 at 372 feet. Most obvious feature here, that downed tree trunk right in the middle of the fairway, and then the tiered system here just in front of the basket.
Right by the basket.
Beauty. Oh, we didn't see that round one. That was a great drive there.
Everson maybe trying to make a little bit of a move here. Cale Leiviska to answer.
Flattened out nice. Coming in a little short, not much ground play.
White now has managed to stay at Cale Leiviska's pace thus far.
No crossbar.
Actually catches that down tree trunk just a little bit, but it should be into an open space. Now Michael Clark still looking for that first birdie of the day.
Too far inside, so off the tee here, Garett has an opportunity to gain another stroke on Cale and Casey, barring a throw-in by either one of them.
When adding insult to injury, Michael Clark forced to play straight sideways out into the open, so now throwing 3 at the par 3 and still has work to do. To Casey White.
Off the banner on the top.
Leiviska.
Michael hasn't given, he's not pushing it. As we watch Garett with the dropping birdie, he knows he's got some strokes to make up, and he's not having the start that he wanted, but he's still taking his medicine. He's still playing smart golf, and he's not causing any extra damage. A lot of these breaks are just tough tree kicks that are really out of his control.
We close out the opening 9 with a middle 9 and a back 9 yet to come on this long day. It's a shorty, just 155 feet. This par 3, pretty unique compared to most of what you see players at this level having to attack.
Headwind, jump putt, slightly downhill.
That's 2 inside the circle.
Grant, you're in a position like these guys are, lead card. Are you still trying to give it that ace run, or are you just trying to get up and down for the 2?
I mean, me personally, I think we talked about this a little bit in round 1. There's an odd pressure sometimes that comes with feeling like a hole is a must get. No matter how easy the hole looks, when you know it's essentially a par 2, there's a weird sort of bit of pressure that comes from that, I think. And the way I tend to deal with that usually, especially on a hole this tight, is I'm really playing for the 2 more than I'm going for the 1. Maybe that's just a model of how I'm just not quite good enough to trust that I can make a longer comeback putt if I make things too hard on myself. These guys, maybe they are really trying to ace it, and they know that more often than not they can knock down that 30 or 35 footer if that's what they happen to give themselves. I don't know, but there's a reason we watch, and that's because these guys are so good. Cale Leiviska maintaining that 2-stroke lead after 9 over Casey White. Garett Everson trying to maintain contact. Michael Clark falling back a little bit, but has a lot of time we'll see what happens in the middle 9, which is coming your way. Thanks for watching. For Stephen Waits, I'm Grant Zellner. We'll be back with that middle 9 coverage from Blue Ribbons Pines.